Hey there, and welcome to another presentation from Father Marcus from the Costa Blanca Anglican Chaplaincy. It's great that you've tuned in, and if you've come back after watching another one, thank you for returning. We're doing our very best to make sure that we stay in contact with members of our congregations and others during this time of confinement, and trying to build and increase our sense of fellowship and love for one another. And so one of the ways that we're doing that is through these YouTube videos, and they're proving to be popular. So thank you for tuning in. It's great to see you. Although I can't see you, you can see me, but there we are. Tomorrow is the feast of Saint Matthais the Apostle. Mathias was the one who was chosen to replace Judas. Judas was no longer one of the apostles. He'd hung himself. And so they needed to replace him, and they sought out people who'd been with Jesus through his earthly ministry and had witnessed the resurrection, was able to tell the story firsthand. And they chose two. And then an example of their great faith and belief in the actions of God, that they cast lots, believing after prayer that God would choose the one that he wanted. And the lot fell to Mathias. And so Saint Mathias became the next apostle, and it's his feast day tomorrow. And this morning I'm going to anticipate his feast by reading the gospel from the Eucharist that we would have had in church tomorrow if we'd been able to gather there. And the passage is from John's gospel, and it is absolutely rammed with incredible and brilliant and wonderful and powerful things. So I'm going to do my best to keep it relatively short. From John chapter 15, beginning at verse 9. Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you, so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and to bear fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask him in my name. I am giving you these commands so that you may love one another." Wow, this is such powerful stuff, and so full of what it is to be a member of the faith and to try and follow the teaching of Jesus. Jesus' opening words there about the fact that he loves us is uplifting and joyful by its very nature. But he then goes on to say, abide in my love. As it were, make your dwelling in my love. Make your home in me. Make your home that place where you feel most comfortable and most secure. That place where you feel that you absolutely belong. Abide in my love, he says. And for me, that is such a beautiful thing, that what we are called by Jesus to do is to just dwell in the presence and power and awesomeness and wonder of his love. And we're invited. We're called to be part of that. And then he goes on to say, he says these things so that my joy may be in you, that your joy may be complete. Sometimes we don't make enough of the joy that comes to us through the gift of faith. The joy when everything seems to fit, everything seems to work together, where we contemplate the very presence of us abiding in the love of Jesus. Joy is not one of those feelings, although that is joyful. Joy is not just that happy, clappy, lovely bit when we're surrounded by people who are saying nice things to us. Joy is something really deep, really moving and really powerful. And when joy abides in us, then we don't need anything else. We are complete. And there's that lovely Matthais song, let nothing trouble you, let nothing frighten you. Whoever has God lacks nothing. God alone is enough. And when we accept God, when we accept that joy, that gift that comes through Jesus Christ, then when we try and understand what is the will of God and try to do it, our joy will be complete. And when we're not trying to be deceitful to God, when we're not hiding things from God, when we're not pretending that we've got all the answers, when we're abiding in his love, in his presence, our joy will be complete. And that is the ultimate feeling. It's like being in heaven. And then Jesus repeats his great commandment. And this is not just an idea, this is not just a philosophy, this is not just a nice thing to do, but it's a commandment to us from the very Son of God. He commands, not just wishes, not just hopes, but commands that we love one another as he has loved us. That's not just loving people who seem to fit in our group. It's not just loving people who we get on with because they like the same music as us or like the same hymns as us or happen to be in our church fellowship. You know Jesus' stories about who our neighbours are. And we are called to love. And the biggest thing that means is doing away with that sense of ego that makes us superior to other people, doing away with that sense of judgment and embracing that whole idea of attracting and accepting people for who they are. And if people are attracted by the way that we live our lives, maybe that they will learn that when they abide in the love of Jesus, they may experience his joy too. And then we come on to the last sort of paragraph of this gospel. You see, we have this sense that we're doing the right thing, those of us who go to church. You know, we've thought about this and we've come through the issues of questions and doubts, and we think, yeah, God is, and he loves us, and we want to go to church and be good boys and girls. And we choose to be a member of the Christian faith. But listen to what he says. He says, you did not choose me, but I chose you. And that's the thing. We are chosen to be part of this body of Christ here on earth. We are chosen. We are called. You and I are called to be in this place at this time, doing our very best to discern the will of God and then put it into practice. We are chosen. Like Saint Mathias was chosen. He was chosen to go and tell the good things that God has done. And that's what you're chosen to do. And that's what I'm chosen to do. And we do it by the way that we love one another and by the way that we live our lives. Jesus concludes this passage by saying, I'll give you these commands so that you may love one another. It begins and ends with this command to love. So, my friends, we've got homework to do. And we're stuck at home most of the time, so it's good to practice at home. But then we've got to take our homework out into the wide world, and there are tentative steps happening when we can go out and maybe see one another. And our homework is to do what Jesus has chosen us to do. Love one another. And so with that in my heart, I can honestly but humbly say, I love you. Because you are made in the image of God. You are unique. You are unique. And God has chosen you. And he has chosen me to love one another. And there is nothing greater under the sun than to know that you are loved. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Until next time.